Hey gang, and welcome back. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. And Foil Armor, flatten your foils fast. Today's game has Kuzno winning the die roll and starting us off. Kuzno draws and plays a Rejuvenating Springs, paying a green for a Deathrite Shaman. Just a reminder, if you're watching on mobile, hit that hype button, it really helps out. Max has got a Plains and ships it. Sammy draws and plays a Raucous Theater, surveilling one as the land enters tapped. Arj's land for turn is a Bogart Bog, which he has come in tapped and passes. Kuzno draws and casts a Fyndhorn Elves. He then plays a Dimir Aqueduct and bounces a land back to his hand. Moving to combat, he hits Sammy for one with the Deathrite Shaman. Max's land drop is a Nykthos, and he then brings out the Queen of Dale and ships it. Sammy plays a Wooded Foothills, sacrificing it and losing one to go and find a land. He then casts Cranial Plating. This triggers the Queen of the Dale, and Max gets to recruit, drawing a card, discarding a card, and making a 1/1. Arj's land drop is an Exotic Orchard, and he then casts a Scuzzback Scrounger. He ships it after that. Kuzno draws and replays the Rejuvenating Springs, and then casts Lonis. He then exiles the Wooded Foothills with the Deathrite Shaman to help cast Maester Seymour, and he makes a clue token. Kuzno then goes to combat, putting a counter onto Lonis and passes. Max draws for turn, Plains cycling a Timeless Dragon, and he then plays the Plains for turn. He then goes to combat, hitting Sammy for 2 with the Queen of Dale, and passes. Sammy just plays a Swamp and ships it. Arja draws for turn, and gets a Blight trigger with a Scrounger, putting a -1/-1 counter onto the Goblin to make a treasure token. He then plays a Swamp, and he casts a Runvelt Hordemaster. Going to combat, the Scrounger goes at Max. He takes the hit, and Arja then casts a Putrid Goblin in his second main phase, and passes. Kuzno plays out a Botanical Sanctum, and then casts Eladamri. He cracks a clue token to draw a card, and goes to combat. He puts the counter onto the Deathrite Shaman, and he swings the Deathrite Shaman at Sammy, and Seymour at Max. They both take the hits, and Kuzno passes. Max draws and casts Riona, Angel Wing, and he swings the Queen of Dale at Kuzno. Kuzno doesn't block, taking 2, and Max then passes. During the end step, Sammy casts Valakut Awakening, and this gets Max a recruit trigger with the Queen of Dale. Sammy draws, playing a Bloodstained Mire as his land for turn, and then casts Jeska's Will, making 7 red mana. He cracks the Bloodstained Mire to find a swamp, and then casts Reign of Riches. This makes him 2 treasure tokens, and Sammy uses his remaining mana to help cast Descent into Avernus. Since he used a treasure, he gets Cascade, and he reveals until he hits Demand Answers. He discards a card to draw 2, and follows up by casting a Liquimetal Torque and passing Arja. Arja draws and once more blights onto his Scuzzback Scrounger, making a treasure, and then plays a mountain in his main phase. He then casts the Great Goblin. Once he's out, he follows up with the Sackville Bagginses. He sacrifices the Putrid Goblin to the Sackville Bagginses Enter the Battlefield trigger, and deals 2 to Kuzno with the Great Goblin since it returns with a -1/-1 counter from Persist. Arja then exiles a land to the Runvelt Hordemaster, and a Feed the Sworn to the Great Goblin. He then makes a treasure token, and goes to combat. He swings the Hordemaster and Scrounger at Sammy, and passes. Kuzno plays a Forest for turn, and cracks a clue. He then casts Lathril, and moving to combat, puts a counter onto her, and then swings Eladamri at Sammy. Sammy takes the hit for 3. Max draws, playing a Plains, and he casts Resurrection, bringing back Avacyn. He then passes after that. Sammy's upkeep has him ticking up the Descent into Avernus, dealing 2 and making 2 treasures for everyone. He then draws and casts Smaug using a treasure. This has him cascading until he hits a Generous Plunderer. He casts it and passes to Arja. Arja draws and blights onto the Putrid Goblin, and then in his main phase casts Siege Gang Commander. He sacrifices a treasure to help cast it, and this deals 1 to Max with the Sackville Bagginses. He then makes some tokens as it comes in, and passes turn. Kuzno's land drop is a Mosswarp Bridge, which comes in tapped, and he hides away a card. He then casts Elvish War Master and passes. Max draws, plays a Plains, and casts the Mind Stone. He then casts the Eternal Wanderer, and once it's out, down-ticks it. This has Arja responding with a Malakir Rebirth, and he targets his Siege Gang commander. Max also gets a recruit trigger. And Max ends up keeping the Avacyn, Sammy keeps the Plunderer, and Arja keeps the Siege Gang commander, while Kuzno keeps the Findhorn Elves. Arja also gets to exile his top 7 thanks to the Runevelt Hardmaster, and his next 7 to the Great Goblin. With nothing else, Max passes. Sammy takes up his descent, dealing 4 and making 4 treasures to everyone, and then gives Arja another treasure with his generous Plunderer, plus makes one for himself. Sammy then casts a Weftstalker Ardent with a treasure token, and this allows him to cascade until he hits an Arcane Signet. He then equips a Cranial Plating onto the Plunderer, and going to combat, he swings it at Arja. Arja decides to just keep his treasures, and instead takes the 7 from the trigger from the Plunderer attacking, and then takes a further 9 from the Plunderer connecting. After that, Sammy passes turn. Arja draws, plays a Luxury Suite, and he casts a Frog Tosser Banneret. He follows up with General Crete. He then follows that up with Kiki Jiki, dealing 1 to each opponent thanks to Crete. Arja then casts a Howl Squad Heavy, and this deals another 1 to his opponents. Arja then copies the Siege Gang commander with Kiki Jiki, dealing more damage thanks to Crete, and he then casts Goblin Bombardment before going to combat. Sammy responds by casting an Infernal Grasp on the Howl Squad Heavy using a treasure token, and this cascades him into a Soul Ring. The Weftstalker also deals 1 to each opponent since the Soul Ring is an artifact. And Arja then swings Crete, the Frog Tosser Banneret, and the Siege Gang copy at Kuzno. Crete in turn makes another Goblin, going at Kuzno, and deals a further 1 to each opponent. Kuzno then takes the full hit. Arja then sacrifices the Siege Gang copy to his Goblin Bombardment, dealing 1 to Sammy, and passes. Kuzno draws, plays a Tropical Island, and brings out his commander with Thranduil, and passes. Max's turn starts off with a Serra Paragon, and he activates Nykthos for 7 white mana. He then reanimates Lauren, who enters and destroys the Goblin Bombardment. He then casts Elspeth Conqueror's Death, and targets Kiki Jiki as it enters. Max then goes to combat, and Max then swings Avacyn at Sammy. Before damage, Sammy responds with a Wild Magic Surge on one of Arja's goblins, since between the hit with Avacyn and his descent trigger, he'll get taken out on his turn. This is Sammy cascading into a Vat of Rebirth, which deals 1 to each opponent off the Weftwalker. Avacyn then connects, and Max passes turn. Sammy's upkeep has him ticking up his descent, which deals 6 to everyone and makes them all 6 treasures, and then takes both he and Arja out at the same time. Kuzno draws, and plays a Bojuka Bog, exiling Max's graveyard. He then activates his Elvish War Master ability with Thranduil. He then follows up by activating the Mosswarp Bridge since it now has enough power to help cast High Perfect Morkant. Thranduil in turn draws him 2 cards and discards him a card. Morkant coming in also has Max Blighting 1, and he puts the counter onto Avacyn. And Kuzno then casts Galadriel, Elven Queen, drawing 2 more and discarding another one. He also has Max Blighting, which Max puts a -1/-1 counter onto Lauren. Responding to the Paragon's Exile trigger, Max flashes in Samwise the Stout-Hearted, targeting Lauren to return to hand instead. Responding to this, Kuzno activates Thranduil as a Deathrite Shaman's ability to exile Lauren instead. He then follows up by casting Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, and then an Elvish Mystic. Once more Max has to Blight. Kuzno then moves to combat, and with the Galadriel trigger, they both vote for guidance, and he doesn't swing, and his second main phase has him casting a Timberwatch Elf, and he passes turn. Max draws for turn, and then needs swing only his Angels at Kuzno, dealing lethal and winning him the game. Game review time. So once more, Queen of the Dale showcases just how strong Recruit as a mechanic is. The fact that Max was getting to fill up his graveyard and spread out with tokens is awesome, and I think the turn that he used the Resurrection on Avacyn pretty much sealed the game in his favor. She is just such a hard creature to get rid of, especially in black and red, which 2 decks were. Yes, there's Chaos Warp, but it's only 1 card in the 99. I also think Kuzno was in a pretty decent position with that War Master being able to go off, but unfortunately he kept losing his board, so all of those mana dorks just did nothing in the end. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.